So welcome to Beauty of Colors podcast, Lynn. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. So Lynn, tell the listeners about you and what is your story?
So, I'm an abstract artist. I'm a single mom, and I decided to take the leap and become an artist at 50. And with no formal training and no background in art, I just took a leap of faith and followed my dreams. And I hope to encourage others to follow their passions fearlessly and through just me, and then also my artwork is if you look at it, it's I'm hoping that it is translating the same message.
Okay. So you had another career before you became an artist. So you said, did you have any passion for that as a kid, or you just turned 50 and you're like, okay, I'm gonna take on being an artist?
Crazy, right? So when I was in kindergarten, my teacher went to my mom and said she's got talent. And but I didn't come from a family that was in the arts, so my mom just didn't know what to do with that. So I think I showed my creativity and through other areas. So I grew up in California in Silicon Valley, and I got into software and startups. And so how I used my creativity was through marketing and launching startups, high tech. I'm talking about Unix, really stodgy engineering kind of work. And but I was the creative person always in the industry and the company. So and I would always kind of look at the art like, I think I could do that. I just always had it in me. And then, so back in 2005, I had an image in my head, and you can call it God or the universe or whatever, but it was something that was coming through me. And I'm of the belief that if you are given the gift of inspiration, you need to act on it, and then you'll get more. And so I knew I needed to do something, but my identity was not an artist. I didn't know oil from acrylic from watercolor. I wasn't the person that had notebooks of doodling. So it took me about 9 months. I finally went to the art supply store after seeing some artwork someplace, and I was like, okay, I get it. And I went to the art supply store. I got one large canvas because I didn't know that I should start small, and I put it on my kitchen wall because that was the best lighting. I didn't even have an easel, and I painted this first painting. It took me about 4 days, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to quit now, never do it again, because I thought it was a fluke. And it took me another decade to actually find my way to it again. And it was because I was going through a divorce. I had moved to Montreal, had a child, started a new life up there, and then it all fell apart. Like all my direction, my momentum was going one direction, and it all fell apart. And through that, I came back here and I started playing around with paint. And by that point, everybody was on social media, and I would post something, and I would get such great feedback. I just kept. It was really scary for me, but I just kept saying yes because I felt like spirit was guiding me, and I just, are you sure? And then I kept going, and the more that I would post, the more people would say, I want a piece from you, and I just thought I could do this.
Wow. So where do you get your inspiration for the art from? Like, do you just come up with something, or do you get inspired if you walk around, if you go to an exhibit? How do you get inspired to do all of this?
Well, abstract is different from painting like a horse, say.
Mhm.
So when you're looking at a horse and you are painting a horse, your inspiration is the horse. So abstract is really, and I think this is why it was kind of my therapy through this difficult time in my life, because it's an expression, and the inspiration is the feeling. So, like this piece behind me gives you a certain feeling. It's not an image that your brain translates to something real. It's something that's conjuring something else in you. So, my when I go into the studio, The images that I see may be something like astronomy or water, because I think it's a great metaphor for life with a ripple effect and that kind of thing. But and everything I do has a kind of a fluidity to it and a liquid base to it. So that is a very easy one, like the inspiration of water. But really, I will crank up the music and get in the zone and say, and I'm very much, like, okay, let's bring it, and I feel like I'm a vessel for spirit to come through me and put the energy out on the canvas. And so I'm hoping that when people see that piece of art, that energy, that feeling, that emotion will come through.
So when you do the abstract art, do you have an emotion when you do it? Like, do you feel happy and sad? Does the emotion comes into that artwork?
Absolutely. My mentor was Jonas Gerard, and I went and he was up in Asheville, and he has since died, but he was so amazing in the way that he would teach. I found him on YouTube, and he was of this same kind of feeling of it coming through you, and to allow that to happen. And he was the one that said to me, "Paint when you're tired, paint when you're angry, don't wait for the feeling to paint like you're going to be this happy person that walks in and and the things that have come out of me when I have been just full of emotion and tears and just frustration, and I could hear him saying keep going. And uh and so it's really each piece, I hope the colors that conjure up the emotion, the fire, the passion, or whatever the feeling is, comes through the artwork. And then when you put this in your home, you're feeling that resolution that you get to when I'm painting.
Wow. So how do you face challenges or setbacks? How did you face that along your artistic journey? How did you overcome it? And what lessons did you learn from that?
It has been such an amazing growth in my life to let go. There's so many things I could say here. Um, but I think where it applies for listeners is that, when you let go of what you think you should be and step into a new calling, it's scary, and you can sit back and that keep doing what you're doing and feel the way you feel about it, or you can take a risk because the reward is so much more than you can imagine. And my life has completely changed. What I do with my time, how I dress, how I show up in the world is just different because I'm I'm loving it so much. I finally found myself, and it gives me such freedom to I think that, well, some of the things is free. You have to be free to fail. You have to allow yourself to fail
Mhm.
and to step out and do things differently. And being that I was 50 when I went full time and tried this thing, um, I had to just embrace what I didn't know, be a student, but also be confident. And in that, I would get there. You have to be your own cheerleader. People aren't going to want you to change. That makes them uncomfortable. They're scared for you. I feel like it comes from a good place for the most part, but I had a lot of people that are like, "You're going to what?" And I think that for people that have, when you get to this stage in your life and you're realizing that I've spent all this other time doing the thing that I thought everybody else wanted me to do, and it didn't turn out as well as I had hoped. I had all this going in one direction. It blew up. So what do I have to lose? I'm just going to go do this thing that I really love. And it's the journey that I love. Um, I just think that anybody, regardless of their age, should embrace a new version of themselves at any stage of their life.
Wow, nicely said, Emmeline. So, how do you balance staying true to your artistic vision while also adapting to the changing trends or your audience preferences?
That's a great question. I think that one of the things of becoming an artist and building a brand is that I'll put it this way. I had a show recently, and a man walked up to me that he knew me only through social media, and I had about 15 pieces there, and he says, "I can tell they're yours. I recognize them." It's like any kind of artist, a singer or something. You recognize the song. I want somebody to recognize my artwork, even though each piece is different. And the other thing that I learned is that I may not like a piece as much as another piece, but it's not mine to decide if it's good enough to be seen by somebody else, because it may really connect for somebody else. So I'm like, I usually do a piece and I go, oh, I wonder who this belongs to, because I think that um, it's out of my hands. It's just like me, not everyone may like me or my art, but it's none of my business. My job is to create as much beauty and put it out there in the world.
Yep, that's what artists do. That's what we should do, actually. You don't focus on who likes or who doesn't like. You just put your artwork there out there, and whoever does like it, they do. So where can the listeners get in touch with you, Lynn? And where can they get your artwork?
So I'm very active on Instagram and on Facebook. Lynn McDonald's Gallery, Lynn with an E. And I have my website, which is lynnmcdonald.com, Lynnne McDonald.com. And you can message me through either one of those.
So if somebody was to reach out to you and ask you for a particular painting, do you do particular paintings for people, or it just comes out of you?
No, I actually offer several different things. I'm so glad you asked.
Mhm.
um, One is that I have inventory. I'm the featured artist at Serendipity Lab, so I have about 20 pieces there. But I also work on commission. So if somebody comes to me and they say that they want something for a certain space, I can help them through the process of deciding what size and what colors. And then I get into my studio and create that. And it's abstract, so it's not like, oh, I want a picture of a horse. It's usually I'm inspired by this. Would you do something that feels like this? And I also offer something called a first impression piece. This is kind of unique. So people that paint images, portraits of people, I wanted to do something like that because I feel like that I'm empathic, and I spend some time. So here's the offer. I will spend some time with a person on a Zoom if they're not local, or even meet them at a cafe or something like that, and get to know them a little bit, spend an hour with them, ask them specific questions, and then go into the studio and paint that energy, that feeling, how I feel that they show up in the world to me. So it's called a first impression piece, but I have done it for people that I know. So and it's great fun because after I do it, I present it to them and I explain it to them.
So, Lynn, do you have any last words for the listeners who feel discouraged, or they don't believe that, or they believe that they're too old to pursue their dreams?
Gosh, I relate so much. I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. And and I also feel like the clock is ticking. Um, I think that I would encourage everyone to play. I think that's where you start. You play and you figure you can always go in the direction, whatever that thing is that's pulling you, go in that direction. Just start. I had it's very much like doing a commission. It's scary to do, but sometimes you just have to start and get the flow going, and then the universe will help you. If that is where you should be, it'll be like the river, and you are just a leaf on it. If that is not the way that you should be, it will be revealed.
So, Lynn, what's the website address again?
It's lynnmcdonald.com.
Okay, great. So, Lynn, thank you for being on Beauty of Colors podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. This was nice.